начали лечить вампирскими укусами всех. Сыворотки, блядь, какие-то еще делать. Так, я с нигером рядом стоял. Что тут есть у вас? Здорово, нигер. Сейчас сразу обшмонаю, но... Да, такая, блядь, больница на свежем воздухе, блядь. Ну чё, нихуя нет, что ли? Ты кто?
Good evening, sir.
So it is true. The famous Dr. Reed has joined us. I can't think of any better news during these terrible times.
Do we know each other?
Actually, yes. We met once before. At the Rockefeller University in New York.
Dr. Tippett, yes, I remember. I was assisting Professor Carell in his research about coronary bypasses. He had nothing but praise for you.
He was also very confident about your future. And look at you now. Eminent surgeon and blood transfusion specialist.
Вообще специалист.
What is the Pembroke Hospital situation? And please, speak freely.
This hospital is not exactly the best of London. I'm sure you are used to working in a better environment.
Конечно. Ну давай.
It's more than enough. In any case, the personnel of a hospital are much more important to me than the building.
Don't be misled by appearances, Dr. Reed. This hospital does not lack talented people. It just lacks hope.
Какого надежды, блядь, не хватает.
What can you tell me about the staff in the hospital?
Some are really good, and others are not so good. But during this troubled period, there is no time for slander. I prefer to focus on the positive character traits.
Tell me more about cherished people, then.
Nurse Brannigan is a pearl. She is the most helpful and dedicated nurse I've ever worked with. A clever and cheerful woman.
You really seem to admire her skills.
I'll go even further. If she was a man, she would be a damn fine practitioner.
Ничего там появилось. Ну как нахуй, нихуя себе. тут, блядь, это да. А это такая.
Any opinion about the management?
I don't always agree with Dr. Swansea's reserve, but I must admit he does all he can to keep this facility running during this crisis.
Ah, yes, the burden of command. I was fed up with this concept while serving as a medical officer.
Don't get me wrong. Swansea's a good administrator. I just wish he would get out of his office down again.
А хули он там? Блядь, не подсказка.
What is the Pembroke Hospital situation?
Блядь.
And please, speak freely.
This hospital is not exactly the best of London.
It's more than a...
Don't be mis...
А, вот нашел, блядь. О,
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett.
давай, удачи, нахуй. Че там, блядь, клизму поставить, ну. Все, что я умею. Доктор к себе. Пописать. Ты кто такая?
Good evening, nurse. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed, the new surgeon here at the Pembroke.
Dr. Swansea has already told us about you, sir. I'm Nurse Gwyneth Brannigan. Welcome to the Pembroke Hospital.
Did he really? It's a good thing I wasn't hoping to keep a low profile.
All members of staff have already read about your new blood transfusion technique. Dr. Swansea made sure of that.
I see. Well, I'm a little surprised, but I suppose I'll just have to deal with this unexpected notoriety.
You must know, blood transfusions are Dr. Swansea's primary subject of research. He is convinced it is the future.
Why does Dr. Tippett's claim you're the main reason he keeps working, despite his fatigue?
If it wasn't for him, I probably would have left the Pembroke years ago.
Dr. Tippett does not think of you as just a nurse anymore, does he?
If you're suggesting he's not taking my gender into consideration when it comes to medical practice and knowledge, I really hope he doesn't.
How are things here?
Not good, to say the least. We're
An invisible enemy?
sorry, Doctor. These last few weeks have been exhausting.
Do you think this hospital can survive?
We are all volunteers here, and we're trying to hold...
Do you think this hospital can survive the epidemic?
We are all volunteers here, and we're trying to hold fast, but... how do we beat an invisible killer? Some nurses have already resigned.
Трагично, блядь.
I'm not familiar with all the staff yet.
Brilliant professionals, most of them. Dr. Swanson...
Most of them. Is there a problem?
It would be inappropriate for me to speak ill of a colleague.
Is there anyone that stands out?
Well, I have never met someone as dedicated as Dr. Tippett. He should be a standard for us all here.
Тебе друг друга хвалят, бля.
Why should his age be a problem?
I guess it's fair to say he's always pushing himself to the limits. He just doesn't know when to stop and get some rest.
Ага. Мужик. Только баба.
Nurse Brown, if you do know something, please tell me. Anything you say will be held in confidence.
No. I may disagree with some conduct, but in the end, everybody is doing their best.
Goodbye, nurse.
Так, где Нига? Нига бежала.
Dr. Swansea is right. This place seems perfect to conduct my research.
Так, кто это? Она... Где Нига-то, блядь? Вот пиздец, он вот здесь вот стоял всю дорогу. Куда он съебался? Он? Что там за плакат порванный? О, такое видели. Слышь, Нигу не видела. Ты кто?
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor. I don't think we've been introduced yet.
Pippa.
My name is Pippa Hawkins.
And I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. Dr.
Well, it's a euphemism that...
How long have you been a nurse?
Well, long enough to see that the epidemic is winning. And no matter how qualified you are, don't tell me you'll change.
I don't like your attitude, Nurse Hawkins. Pessimism can be as lethal as the epidemic in times like these.
Sorry, Doctor. I don't want to sound bitter.
Ну это
I'm just
не
too
мной, но.
tired to give a pep talk like Nurse Brannigan.
How is the Pembroke staff?
Well, not well. Milton, the ambulance driver, is even more grumpy than usual. Especially...
Why is Milton grumpy on a daily basis? Is it just an act?
Milton's not the kind of man who's bothered about a bad reputation, whether he deserved it or not.
Чего там опять с Нигой? Да он гандон, блядь. Милтон ваш. Пипа, блядь.
Why does Milton dislike doctors?
I don't know. Just ask him. But be warned, Milton is not the chatty type.
How would you describe the situation at the Pembroke Hospital?
It's serious. The flu is wreaking havoc amongst the staff and patients. We are running out of everything.
You must get a hold of yourself, nurse.
Без
Sorry.
паники.
I'm exhausted. No one has any idea when this epidemic will be over.
Nurse Hawkins, the Spanish flu won't last forever. Even the Black Plague didn't kill everyone.
I wish I could believe you. But what if this epidemic was worse? What if in the end, nobody was spared?
Блядь.
Goodbye, now.
О, ты пришел.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr.
I've already heard about you, Dr. Reed. I'm Milton Hooks, the ambulance driver for this shithole of a hospital.
That's quite a blunt introduction, Mr. Hooks.
You can call me Milton. I like to speak my mind, Dr. Reed. Perk of the job. Don't judge me, and I won't judge you.
I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about.
Well, I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure a gun can't be used as a surgical instrument.
You have a keen eye. I learned to shoot during the war, and have carried one ever since. Old habits die hard.
No need to explain, Dr. Reed. And if you ever need a better gun, remember, I may have something for you.
Да ты чё? Это твой кошель я нашел. Milton Хукс. А, так ты гондон. Погоди, давай вот так вот
I have
сделаем.
some good news, Milton.
What? The epidemic's over?
I retrieved your wallet with all the money and a certain picture.
Well, yeah, Pippa Hawkins is my girl. So what? Is it the difference of skin colour that bothers you?
Not at all, Milton.
Good. Please, take this money anyway. To remind you to keep your mouth shut. Not everybody is as broad-minded as you, Dr. Reed.
40. И чё это вот торговка, это чё типа? Ну ладно. А чё вот
I'd like
это?
to see your goods.
Wise choice, Dr. Reed. A reliable gun is what everybody needs these days.
Чё у тебя есть? Купить картечь, патроны, дробовик Милтона. Хуя, бабла нету, ты охуел. Картечь, блять. А у меня же это. А че, свое оружие посмотреть не могу, да? Мне что надо-то, блять? Ебать, у меня вообще бабла тогда хуй. Ладно, попозже мы с тобой
Good
поторгуем.
evening, Milton.
Good evening.
Это. Знаешь что? А вот
Why do
чё.
you have such a mediocre reputation among your colleagues, Milton?
Fuck them. Nobody knows the horrors I've seen since working here. This city was sick long before the epidemic, Dr. Reed.
I know it's a difficult task, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is this not the job you are paid to do?
I've seen babies left to die while their brothers were properly fed. Underage girls and boys sold to all manner of perverts.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. We lack words. So excuse me if I don't look on the bright side of life.
Ты чё?
Are you really smuggling weapons through the hospital?
And why not? I've already been attacked by patients, you know. And by gang members willing to steal my money.
But you're not defending yourself. You're selling guns to civilians.
You keep people alive your own way, Doctor. I offer them another way to protect their health.
How is the situation around here?
You want to hear the situation is all right? It's fucking awful. We lack everything. And it's getting worse every day.
So what do you do exactly in this hospital? Apart from smuggling guns, I mean.
I've been an ambulance driver since... too long, I guess. I bring sick people here night and day. It's a dirty job, but I get it done. Most of the time.
Since you're on the front line, how is the sanitary situation in this vicinity?
It's a complete disaster. It's even getting dangerous to enter some streets or buildings. Even the locals attack you.
It
Хуя.
sounds like things have been a bit rough recently. What's happened?
Yesterday I got attacked by the patient I was bringing here. I escaped through the hospital's garden, but I lost my wallet when I was running.
You left an infected patient outside the hospital. That's incredibly dangerous.
Go there yourself if you want, but be careful, Doctor. I'd rather not bring your dead body back.
Уже посмотрел, не переживай.
What's going on between you and Nurse Hawkins?
Pippa's
Блять.
tired. Tired of all this shit. Tired of all those corpses piling up. She's as depressed as I am.
You do realize you could both get fired. Hospital staff are not meant to have intimate
Давай
relationships
еще
with one another.
Come on, Dr. Reed. Do you know how many rules are broken in this hospital every day just to keep it running? There's nothing wrong with what we're doing.
During the war, I witnessed a few couples just like you come together in difficult circumstances. It can be very damaging.
Maybe you're right. But we support each other. And that's all that matters.
Теперь самое интересное.
Tell me why you're
Вымогатель.
extorting money from some of the patients here.
If a patient wants a bed, he'll have to pay me a little fee. That's all.
Where did you get the idea for such an immoral scam?
Funny you should ask. The first time it was from a patient who bribed me to get a bed. It's only then I realized I could make a fortune.
Ах ты какой, блядь. Ну и ху... А, тут больше нехуй задавать.
Goodbye, Milton.
Нигер какой хитрый, блядь. Так, с вами я уже пиздел. Так, вообще иди отсюда. У меня на тебя планы. Какие-нибудь штучки-дрючки покупать. Ты еб
Good evening,
тебе
miss.
хуёво,
I'm Dr.
наверное.
Reed, the new surgeon at the Pembroke Hospital. And who are you?
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal. Nothing
Нихуя.
but dust blown by the winds of eternity.
I beg your pardon?
What are you begging for, mortal? My clemency? Well, tonight maybe I'm inclined to mercy. You'll never forget the night you met Thelma Howcroft.
You keep calling me mortal. Why is that? And if I'm mortal, what are you?
Well, Dr. Reed, if you must know.
Да ты чё? Да ты чё? Ебать тебе хуёво.
Who are you really, Miss Howcroft? I mean, apart from being a vampire.
Is that not enough for you, puny mortal? What do you require? Hmm? Proof of my powers?
Давай.
I'm curious to know who you were before becoming a vampire.
No, such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries of unholy life can have strange effects on one's minds, you see?
Ой, чё ты припиздюхиваешь?
I'm assuming you must be a patient here. Am I right, Miss Howcroft?
It's only a cover. To hide from my enemies. I can leave whenever I want. As a woman, a spirit, fog, or bat.
Нихуя.
Who are these enemies you mentioned? Can you describe them?
I cannot say for sure. But I sense their eyes on me from nearby. I feel them watching me every time I visit the garden near the morgue.
The staff here are not your enemy. They're here to help you, to care for you.
I'm not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of the men and women who hunt me. For I am a vampire.
I see. Don't worry. These people will not find you here. I'll personally make sure they leave you alone.
Thank you, mortal. But do not interfere with them, for you are no match for those that hunt me.
Новое расследование.
And why do you believe you're a vampire?
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am. It is what I feel within this hollow shell of flesh.
I see. Have you ever heard of Cotard syndrome, Miss Howcroft?
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist named Jules Cotard. The affected patients are delusional. They believe that they are putrefying, that they are dead, a ghost or a ghoul. Or in your case, a vampire.
Delusional, you say? Oh, sad and petty mortal. You can't even begin to understand the concept of immortality. And you think it is I who am delusional.
И чё?
Please, describe to me how you feel. What is it like to be a vampire?
I can hear my body crumble from the inside as my flesh cracks and fades. I sense the last pulse of postulant blood within my drying veins. I need new blood.
Ну, мы уже поняли, что ты пиздишь. Чё, ничего?
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Королева тьмы, блять, нахуй. Так. Чё там, блять, нахуй? Это чё у нас? Торговка, блять. Да ебать, а как нахуй? От состояния района нихуя вы, пидорасы, на трюги, сука. Так. Это понятно, основное. А где дополнительное смотреть? Как, блять, уровень гипноза повышать? Ну ладно. Опа. Это чё? Это если я его въебу. Это чё? Ага. Ебать. Знать бы, во-первых, где они. Ебать, как много вас всяких тут
Good
ходит.
evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Doctor.
Все, иди
Goodbye,
нахуй.
Nurse.
Ты кто такой?
Good evening, sir.
Unless you're here to fix my face. No. I don't think you can help me.
I'm Dr. Reed. I've recently taken the position of head surgeon here. War injuries, am I right?
You guessed right, Doctor. German shell took my pretty little mug right off. But they still call me Thomas Elwood.
Ну да. Так, еще, блядь, каких-то 7 пидорасов тут.
Where were you stationed, sir? Did you serve for long?
I really don't want to talk about all this shit.
No offense. I was pushing too much. I served in France myself. I just wanted to know what happened to you.
You were an officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the same war, sir. No offense.
Понятно,
How
короче.
close are you to Miss Hawcroft? Are you aware that she thinks she is a vampire?
To wait for her next nibble is the best reason to stay here. Every time she approaches my bed, she treats me like something tasty. A normal person.
Aren't you afraid? She may hurt you if the game goes too far.
She's quite harmless, I can assure you. Her head's broken inside is all. While I'm busted on the outside. But she's still beautiful. Living proof that there's hope for me.
Ёб твою мать, ну. Парочка, блядь.
So do you let her bite you? You know that's not sanitary.
And why not? She's only supping a few drops of me blood. And the pain, it's real for once.
She could decide to bite less willing patients.
Then it's another good reason for me to stay here, Doctor.
You do realize she's mentally disturbed. It's called the Cotter syndrome. She truly believes she's a vampire.
In her madness, she never refers to my scars. And frankly, if I could, I'd join her world. It seems much more
Ну да,
fun than the
хули
real.
там. Не скучно.
How is your stay with us, Mr. Elwood?
Oh, it's bliss. I just escaped death in the trenches to be surrounded again by the moans of the dying.
Can I ask you precisely why you're a patient here?
It's the pain, sir. The drugs don't work. It just hurts under the scars, if you get my drift.
Can I do anything for your pain?
Nurses gave me a bunch of pills. No effect. Told you. It's like the flames are under my skin, burning away.
Who is treating you? Is someone in particular looking after your case?
Nobody since the old and tired doctor spoke to me. Started to think I was forgotten about. Wouldn't blame you.
You don't seem worried by that.
My face hurts so much more when I smile or cry. I've learned it's easier not to speak. But be assured I'm smiling inside.
Goodbye for now,
Disgust on every street corner.
Так. О, блядь.
Daily routine.
А ты чё, сюда
Good evening,
перебазировалась?
Miss Harcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood.
Так.
Tell me, Thelma, why do you feel so attached to Mr. Elwood? Why him?
I'm not sure, Doctor. I think we have a bond of some sort. We've both suffered so much. He's the only mortal I find interesting.
Do you plan to make him a vampire too?
Of course not. How could I inflict my curse on anybody else? I'm not that cruel, Doctor.
Would you say you and Mr. Elwood are romantically involved?
No. No, Thomas is a delicate soul. Even though he disguises it. But I am not the woman he needs. No, for I am a vampire, Doctor.
Да-да-да, ты вампир, блядь. Ой, блядь.
I'll leave you.
Так. О,
Good evening, Mr. Hampton.
How do Dr. Reed, is it? Oh,
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory. Fear and exhaustion made me say awful things too, I'm afraid.
You remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps. But who wouldn't be after enduring an abduction?
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to do is rest and return to my flock.
Have you made friends since you arrived?
Not really, but I recognise Miss Harriet Jones. I knew her when she lived by the docks. That poor woman had such a miserable life.
You never came to see her here at Pembroke. Receiving visits when sick can be an important part of the healing process, you know. We're not just bodies.
You're preaching to the converted now, Doctor. To be truly honest, I thought she was dead. She left the docks many months ago.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Hampton? I can't help but notice the cross around your neck.
I manage a night asylum for the poor and homeless of the docks. And I try to guide the lost and hesitant on the right path to our Lord.
Are you a priest, Mr. Hampton? A deacon, maybe?
Not at all, Doctor. I'm just a man of faith willing to preach the good word.
Why didn't you use your cross against William Bishop? To repel him somehow?
That's a very strange question, Doctor. A cross is no magical token, if that's what you were trying to say. Not mine, anyway.
How do you feel, Mr. Hampton? Medically?
I feel exhausted. Beyond exhaustion, actually. William drank so much of my blood in his madness. I feel empty.
You're in good hands here. Dr. Swansea is well versed in blood transfusion, and I'm sure he'll take the best care of you.
Thank you, sir. I believe all I need is rest. And then I can go back to the people who need me.
Do you know Tom Watts, the bartender from the Turtle? I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping hand, good old Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End long ago.
People are still in despair.
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in this contagious nightmare. No drugs, no advice, nothing. It's a damn shame.
Если я вот сейчас не попью со всеми, потом вообще крайне редко буду пиздеть.
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit to speak ill of people I know, Doctor.
Блять, вот он вообще не сказал.
How did you end up in William Bishop's den?
I had received alarming news about his recent behavior. I went to his place and he refused to let me go.
You dared to enter this awful place alone. You're a hero, Mr. Hampton. Or a fool.
I'm just a man trying to help his friends, Dr. Reed. William Bishop was a conflicted soul, searching for light.
Why did he abduct you?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood. I don't know why.
Ебать, ну
just like a
нахуй.
patient I met here. This Miss Hawcroft.
What is the general situation in the East End docks?
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the dockers' trade union. The Wet Boot Boys are very nervous since they lost their leader.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show. With
Как
the assistance
пропал?
of her minion, Booth Digby.
Has the gang been threatening you?
Ah, no. I've had this nickname for so long, you know, the sad saint of the East End. No one dares to bug a saint, not even criminals.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show, with the assistance of her minion, Booth Digby.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton.
Это... А где этот Кассиус Клей, нахуй? Ну.
It's locked.
Так, тут с вами все понятно. Ты кто?
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I believe we're going to be colleagues.
Reed? Yes, I've been informed about your arrival. I'm Waverly Akroyd. Welcome aboard, I suppose.
Does my arrival inconvenience you in some way, Dr. Akroyd?
Let us just say that I don't particularly share Dr. Swansea's enthusiasm for hiring you. What we need here are reliable professionals, not overrated dabblers.
Ах ты, пидор!
I don't know what you've heard about me, but I have already proved my value as a practitioner.
I don't question your skills, Dr. Reed, but your motive. Is it money, fame, or are you truly dedicated?
And what exactly is that supposed to mean?
I served in the war just like you. But unlike you, I did not use the wounded to play the modern sorcerer.
Be careful what you insinuate, Dr. Akroyd.
Да,
I
его
only want you
въебло.
to admit you used those men to improve your theories.
Knowledge has always been and will remain our main weapon. And it has always come at a price. And personal initiative.
It is not a question of initiative, it is a question of integrity. These men and women have put their faith in us, Dr. Reed.
It seems you have bad memories of your military service.
I refuse to see this industrial slaughter as scientific progress. War only reveals the worst in men.
We can at least agree on something, Dr. Akroyd.
Короче.
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Akroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without asking anyone's advice. The benefit of his position. But I don't agree with it.
I know we've never met before, but I believe this hospital could use all the help it can get. You will agree with that, I'm sure.
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reed. Of course, you can't say the same about me, since I have not wasted my time courting the press.
Aren't you too old for such jealousy? It really won't do you any good, you know.
Don't be ridiculous, Dr. Reed. A simple glance is enough for me to know you have nothing for me to envy.
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine...
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. I have always respected the skills of Dr. Swansea, but over time his enthusiasm has become displaced.
Carelessness? Exactly what are you talking about?
We're here to save lives. The people who trust us are not volunteering for experimentation. They're here to be healed.
I don't intend to run any radical experiments, Doctor. Even if I,
Блядь,
as any
тебе
good
пизда,
practitioner,
короче.
should express an interest in pushing the boundaries of
Только
medical
разузнай о
research.
тебе
Modern
все.
medical
Ты,
methods were
блядь,
created
пи***,
through
нахуй, с моей
audacity and
жертвой.
ego. But there are rules in our line of work, and they're here to protect our patients.
Мы с тобой кое-кое гуляем. Пиздец, хуй. Ладно, о тебе мы еще, Гондон, узнаем.
Thank you.
Пошел нахуй, пидор. Стоять, ты кто?
Good evening, Doctor. I believe we're going to be working.
Dr. Reed. Dr. Swansea informed us of your arrival, but I could not dare to
А этот
believe
жопу
it has
лизать
such
будет,
good
да?
fortune. Such an honor, sir.
Thank you. And you are?
I am Thoreau Strickland, Dr. Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer of your work, Dr. Reed.
О, да. Ладно. О.
What do you think of Dr. Akroyd's aversion to modern medical methods?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about exploring uncharted territory. I'm convinced that's true.
With the influenza
Хуя там
and
кто-то
all that's
орёт.
going on, you should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why is it so difficult to work together?
I believe that if Dr. Akroyd had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use.
So you believe it's just a question of jealousy and pride?
Dr. Akroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical
Ну и
science.
пизда ему скоро придет. Я же правильно понимаю. Да, вот он. Гондольер, нахуй.
Please, could you tell me something?
I'm a great admirer of your work.
What made you choose to be...
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me.
Блять. Я говорю, он будет это, в жопу лизать.
I'll give you some advice, but understand that nothing beats practical experience, which can be exhausting and solitary work.
Of course, sir. And don't worry, I will never allow myself to be a burden, neither to you nor this hospital.
I based my
Блять, на
technique
телефон
on my
что-нибудь
mentor's
ответить там, блядь.
research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours?
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical, you may remain empty-handed, but you won't fail.
You're not the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against the ravages of this epidemic.
Что там у него открылось? Потому что он лох. Так, еще 5.
What can you tell me about...
Well, it has always been an honor to work with Dr.
Это понятно.
You seem quite optimistic.
I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test of endurance and dedication for us men of science.
Questions remain about our capacity to resolve the situation.
True, true. Last summer, during the first wave of the epidemic, I used to joke with Milton about the extra work. We're not smiling now.
Do you need help with anything in particular?
Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of
Do you want me to play the errand boy for you?
Oh no, Dr. Reed. But if you went personally to his shop, what with your reputation,
Какую, блядь,
dare to
лавку?
refuse the products I need.
I see. Well, give me the address, for I may pass by if I have time.
Так, какое там новое расследование? Что это? А при чем они тут вдвоем? Блять, как отметить ее? Она не отмечается. Но она не отмечается. Где, блять, карта? Уайтчепел. Бегали мы здесь. И что такое? А, вот так вот, да? Ну, тут, собственно говоря, не так далеко. Ладно.
Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could cripple him if not treated correctly. I'm convinced your blood transfusion technique could help him.
What is it you really want? To save him? Or to prove your point?
Fair question. I want nothing but to save my patient, Dr. Reed. Especially since I know Mr. Fiddick's story.
Tell me Mr. Fiddick's story.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial information from us?
Because he is a proud father, ashamed of putting his children at risk because of his own negligence.
Угу.
This personal involvement could also appear to be a lack of impartiality.
Ебать, там кому-то режут на живую, по-моему.
Must remain neutral.
I agree. But that does not excuse Dr. Akroyd's behavior. A man who did not even take time to converse with his patient.
Do you think keeping his distance was a mistake?
All I know is that I'm taking care of human beings with desires, hopes, and fears. Not some biological machine comprised of blood, bones, and flesh.
Давай, короче. Удачи, нахуй. Тебе не надо помогать, да? Так, что тут у нас? Это же этот абсос.
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Thank you for your time.
Пидораса кусок. Так, а ты очкарик? Ты очкарик. Оп, стоять, ты кто?
What can I do for you, doctor?
Дороти Крейн.
Thank you, Nurse Crane.
Значит, мы с тобой пиздели уже. Ты кто?
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr.
I don't know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleagues are already arguing about my condition.
А, это переливание.
Would you mind telling me more about your situation?
I'm Harvey Fiddick. All I want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Tell me about your injury, Harvey. Why do you feel so guilty about it?
My wife died because of me. And now I may lose everything because I've been careless enough to hurt myself. What an arsehole.
Чё тут? Так.
You can't hold yourself responsible for your injury, Mr. Fiddick. Unless you tried to hurt yourself.
Of course I didn't hurt myself. But I can't work until my arm is fixed. My children need to eat, Doctor.
Ой, блядь, нихуя.
How could your job be responsible for your wife's death?
I was working a double. She went out to bring me a hot meal and got caught in a German bomb raid.
Tell me more about the death of your wife, Harvey.
1915. I was in the army. Building workshops for the Royal Flying Corps. Helen was happy I wasn't sent to the front.
What happened?
The Germans sent Zeppelins to bomb the construction site, but they missed their target. My wife was bringing my dinner when the bombs fell.
I'm sorry for your loss. So many died during the bombings. I served in France and witnessed the carnage there.
I would like to say that she didn't suffer. Truth is, I have no idea. I just know that I'm all that me kids have. Poor little bleeders.
Ну,
How are your
блядь.
children after losing their mother?
Не
They were
будем
small,
скотиной, вылечим тебя.
The only good thing about this is my Ellen didn't bring them with her that night.
Так, а чё? Что-то еще у тебя.
Tell me about the doctors who are arguing about your case.
Strickland and Akroyd. They both want the best for me, but there's a lot of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is I disagreed about wooden nails, not flesh and bones.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Fiddick.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm fixed, so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more curious about what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a carpenter, and a good one too. But that means I need both arms to feed my family, Dr. Reed.
Are you satisfied with your treatment here?
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured. Forgive my bluntness, but you seem overwhelmed by cases of the flu.
I won't lie to you about it. I'm afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reed? I have the feeling you're very capable. And your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, I don't think I can take on the responsibility. My apologies.
А чё ты сказал? Ой.
Goodbye for now.
As for me, I'm an idiot.
Это чё? Ага.
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Doctor.
You seem worried about the safety of your family. And it's obviously the reason why your wound troubles you so much.
I cannot give up on my children now. They both need me living.
What about their mother, if I may ask?
She died in
Блять, ты
1915 during one of the
пиздец, вот
first Zeppelin
кто
raids.
сочинял это, ну?
We never found her body.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
Sweet girl. Reads me like a book.
Да, уж, блять, тот, кто сочинял эту хуйню, это в натуре долбоёб. Мы уже выяснили, что
Good
она,
evening,
блядь...
Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed.
Ты, блядь, здесь, что ли?
Goodbye.
Съебал. Читали уже. Это на выход. Тоже на выход.
A giant morgue disguised as a hospital. That's Pembroke nowadays.
Так, мы же со всеми пообщались уже с
Good
этим.
evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Doctor.
Goodbye, Nurse.
С этим попиздели. Тут за... Ага. Ну и все, наверх тогда. Блять, я здесь зашел. Что у нас тут? Ёпта мать, тут еще есть что-то. Это на улице. А они как-то вообще не заморачиваются, что сквозняки, хуяки тут, блять, могут быть, ну. Есть что интересное? Как бы похую. Двери все на растопашку, блять. А хули, испанка всех уже ебет. Хули боятся. Это выход, понятно. Ладно, наверх. Ебать, оно еще и трехэтажное. Да вы что, прикалываетесь, что ли, оно? Это доктор, этот Свонси. Пиздык пилу пизданул так. Карта Элвуда. Понятно, ладно, сейчас надо чай поставить. Чё? Ага. Что тут? Бутылка дешевого джина. Это куда?
This must be the place. It's definitely away from prying eyes. Relegated to the shadows. A kingdom of my own. At least I won't be sleeping in a coffin.
Ага.
It's locked, all right.
Да, я понял, что это. Ну, давай зайдем. Что это такое? Ага. Он там что-то пиздит сам с собой, что ли? Субтитры проскакивают. Честно говоря, хуйню прочитал. Даже читать вслух не стал, нахуй.
The flower's dying. It needs water.
Так полей, ёпта. И... у меня нихуя нет. О, от пневмонии. Чё там надо? Какое-то масло. Кадеин. Ебать, а чё так дохуя надо-то, блядь? Сепсиса. Блять, вот тому бы нахуй с рукой-то от сепсиса и принести. Чё? Ага. Ну, допустим. Часть обычной рукояти нужен. Один. А здесь что надо? Часть спускового механизма. Обычного спускового. А это что? А это что, мешочек с мусором?
William Bishop's blood is much more unstable than human blood and shows extensive mutation. But this is not what happened to me. I must keep on searching. The sun is about to rise. I can feel it. I'll continue tomorrow night. I have so much time now.
Че пополнить-то? Сейчас ляжем, поспим, подожди. Ну да, сделать третий этаж, чтобы он был, блядь, недоступен, это оригинально. Так, подожди. Кто-то идет. Ну ладно. А где этот? Подожди, вон же, блядь, проход. Я ж помню, 2 лестницы было. Ну было и было. Хуй доебался. Где ты, сука? Да пошел ты нахуй. Я вот что думаю, нахуй. Рассвет рассветом. Похуй, давай-ка сбегаем. Это получается, мне же правильно карта ведет. И туда. Так, а он находится. А мне нахуя здесь-то переплывать? Мне как-то надо вот туда пройти. Бать, у меня вот можно развиться. Здесь пройти можно. Здоровая. Здесь что попиздить, ну. Оп, погоди. Не к добру они тут стоят, но. Забыл маленько управление. что-то с них нихуя не выпадает. Так. А это типа охотники.
He's mine! I'll take it! Fuck, it's false!
Все. Ура, укусить кого-нибудь не мешало бы. Нихуя там. А, домойте, блядь. Блядь. О, блядь, старая пила, 65 урона, нихуя себе. О, а это кто такой? Слышь? Меня сейчас отпиздят. О, ребят, я попозже зайду. Во, вали их нахуй. О, блядь, сука, подкрался сзади. Нихуя, гондон. А так-то их можно стравливать, но... Хуя себе, ебать. Не, ну, блядь, с одним там можно было. Блядь, там какой-то пидор главный, ну. Ковырять его. А если я попробую обойти его? Нихуя он меня припиздярил. Нихуя тут казнят, я ебу, блядь, нахуй. Блять, а туда как пройти-то еще можно? Ну они прям пиздец на каком уровне, ебать, я их ковырять заебусь нахуй. Есть ли смысл? Ну а мне, блять. Мне как бы надо мимо этих проходить, да? По-любому. Либо оббежать вот так. Можно вот туда наверх? Чтоб знать, куда идти. Ля-ля. Короче, это доп. Задание. Убить вот этих, да, по ходу дела, типов. Потому что они либо не дают выйти этому типу из дома, ну есть вариант, что это ну вон он вход. Нет, вы ебанутые что ли? Как он меня убил так, блядь? Нихуя себе, ебать. Как-то он быстро, блядь, одним ударом выстегнул меня. Короче, еще раз пробую. Блядь, я не пойму одно нахуй. Где проход-то? Ну, либо я не тут иду. Где они, блядь, были задания эти? Продавец. А, ну типа я добрался до аптеки. А чё он там лежит? Это, блядь, не заказ ли случаем? Я же, блядь, сука, уворачиваюсь, нахуй, пидорас, блядь. Вот как их выманить по одному? Никак. Еще раз попробую и все. В натуре пробежаться, это посмотреть, может там заказ лежит просто и все. До аптеки-то я добрался. Они, может, его-то и едят нахуй, между прочим-то. Хули бы и нет. Да все ты, ебать. Гриффин. И чё, блядь, за Гриффин, нахуй? Блять, какого хуя их опять трое-то? Короче, нахуй. Патронов набирать, блять, прокачиваться. И херачить их нахуй. Можно стравить, попробовать все-таки их там. Между прочим, вообще неплохая идея. Если бы они хотя бы там переебашили бы, блядь, половину друг друга, кто-то там остался, я бы уже на добивку остался. Ну, можно сейчас их заманить. И у меня патроны пропадают, между прочим. Блядь, тоже нихуя деятели, ебать. Они, у меня патроны пропадают. А вот эти обмутки не пропадают. То есть я одного-то явно убил. Ну вон он, блядь. Пойдем. Ну и что ты? Идете? Оп. Да ты охуел, нихуя он ее сносит, ну. Я к вам тут веду. Ну-ка, беги быстрее. Пусть они там занимаются.
Opium is one of the main ingredients of Strickland's medication. Never a good move.
Че они там перехуярили друг друга, ну, надеюсь, нет? Да, хули, если их убить нельзя нормально, по-другому как? Док. Нахуя я в доке пришел? Не знаю зачем, но... Что за сопроводительное письмо, блять, и оно теперь в проебе где-то. Вот Биг Дигби. А, это в этих-то. Понятно, короче. Ну, мы в доках еще побегаем, блядь, потом, может, как-нибудь. Да не может как-нибудь, а побегаем. Так. Они все там ебашатся, что ли? А вы чё, разругались, что ли? Блять, он просто раз и все, и убивает, нахуй. Да ну нахуй. Это чё за пиздец, нахуй? Не, ну я побежал, конечно. Потому что я не вижу тут смысла вообще с ними, блядь, что-то там... Нет, это бесполезно. Этих-то, блядь, мудаков я ебну, а этот, блядь, за один раз убивает. Чё смеяться-то? Непонятно куда. А почему вы вдвоем тут стоите? Надо ну восполнить нахуй. Пошел нахуй. Сука, да уебись. Уа-уа. Ой, бля.
Stop right now! Over there!
На, короче, это. Пиздец нахуй, какой же ты, блядь, уебан. Блять, вот этот кол, он работает, нахуй, я ебу, сразу третьего, нахуй, блять, может не сработать вообще, блять. Вот и долбишь, а когда он его, блять, сбивает, нахуй, самое интересное происходит. У него заканчивается выносливость. Ох ты, нихуя. Нихуя, вот, блядь, на опережение въебал, такой пиздец, блядь. А я никого дома не жду, в гости, то есть. Хуя сбегал на доп. Задание, блядь, опиздюлили нахуй раз 20, блядь. Охуительно, чё? Нравится? А он такой долбоёб, нахуй, ебать, я в ахуе. Пиздец, нахуй, я уже там не находился. Его падлу нахуй. И не сработало. О. Теперь сработало. Блять, их тут пиздец стоит, ну. Я в ахуе, просто, блять, там хуй пойми, вот то ли ебалом к тебе стоит, нахуй. То ли, блять, спиной, нахуй. Здесь что, никак нигде нельзя пройти. Ну вот же мы приплыли здесь. Здесь же этот мудак где-то. Закрыто, между прочим. Вы чё, угораете, что ли? Вы чё, здесь тоже пройти нельзя? Ха-ха. Ну, понятно, короче. По-любому надо пиздиться, блядь. Заебали нахуй. И с них нихуя не падает. Вообще, блядь. Все нахуй, я в больницу. Там орут, я ебу нахуй. Ебать, это я через это конченное место сейчас побегу. Я как бы тут всех поубивал, вроде не должно никого быть. Оп, тихо. Куда это? Это тот выход, блять, наверное, который не пошел. Так.
The life running in your vein.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
Why do you feel responsible for the injury, Thomas? What really happened?
I wasn't disfigured by any German shells. It happened during my leave. It was an accident.
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come back disfigured by the Germans, and it's another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to anybody.
Beauty is not everything, Mr. Elwood.
Says Mr. Pretty Face.
И чё там? Подсказка утеряна. Жди, а я могу загрузиться с контрольной точки? Погоди. Ха. Тут и так может быть, ну. Раз попробую, если что, нет, так и нет, вообще похуй. Так. Пусть это нечестно, но я, блядь, что-то не подумал, что я на тибись нажал, нахуй, что было. Что увидел, блядь. Так, где эти, нахуй? Парочка, блядь, любовная. Вот, сука, он...
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening.
Не здесь.
Why do you feel responsible for the injury, Thomas? What really happened?
I wasn't disfigured by any German shells. It happened during my leave. It was an accident.
Tell me what really happened then.
I went with a whore in Rouen. Dead drunk I was.
Нихуя тебе, блядь, приключения.
The hotel was a shithole. There was a fire that night.
Did you start the fire? Were you trying to avoid going back to the front? That's not uncommon, you know.
No. It's just that I was asleep when the flames reached the room.
Опять пиздит
The girl was
по-любому.
long gone. Bitch never woke me up. Left me to burn.
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come back disfigured by the Germans, and it's another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to anybody.
Reconstructive surgery has been very successful for some soldiers.
I don't want to wear a bloody mask for the rest of my life. I'd rather stay here and just be forgotten.
Why lie about it?
Come on.
Reconstruct.
I don't want to wear...
Goodbye for now.
Disgust on every street corner.
Ничего, нихуя, короче, это не изменилось, но. Где этот опаленец, ну? А, подсказка утеряна. Ой, да иди ты нахуй, блядь. Уебан. Между прочим, подожди, уебан-то он уебан. А где эти врачи сраные, блядь? Это гондон. Ну и там он в жопу лежит же.
calm the children, Helen. As for me... What?
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening.
Так, а тут все, ебать, с ним.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick.
Мне нужен тот еблан, нахуй. А где он? Ну где вот они? Вот, блядь, они тоже, нахуй, ходят кто где, блядь. Перезагрузка не помогла.
Good evening, Miss Howcroft.
I need blood.
I'll leave.
Блять, может на улице где? Блять, от испанки ты сдохнешь быстрее, блять. Сука, наверху что ли гондон шкуру трет? Алло. Ага. Ну, понятно. Ну, ладно, сейчас. Ну, сядешь, лучше напиши. Ладно, я через минут 10 сам выходить буду. Ну. Давай, ладно, там увидимся. Блять, ну и гондон. Вот сейчас получится так, что я тому типу проще отдам и все, ебать. Пошел он нахуй. Вот где он, блять, шкуру трет нахуй. Он же там, блять, с пациентами был, между прочим, нахуй. А не пишется кто где. Вот, сука, вот, оп, подожди, что-то.
It's locked, all right.
Закрыто, ну ладно. Это на улицу. Вот мудак. Блять, где я вообще нахуй? Я чуть не пойму, блядь. А, о. Ну вот он. Слышь, чё?
Good evening, Dr. Strickland. And good evening to you. I located the shop, but it was vandalized, and the owner is missing. All I found was your order.
I was afraid of such bad news. People are so desperate they're ready to burgle a shop for drugs.
That's quite a list you ordered. Opium, sodium hypochlorite. It can't be just headaches you're trying to cure.
This dreadful influenza, of course. I already ran some tests on hopeless cases. Without success, I must admit.
Do you realize you could create a lethal poison without the correct dosage? Then there are the legal ramifications.
Is this not true of any medical substance, Dr. Reed? However, if you would agree to improve it, I'd be glad to accept your help.
As long as you promise to be scrupulous with your experiments, I may try to gather these substances and even help improve upon the mixture.
That's all I'm asking for, Dr. Reed. That's all I'm asking.
I want to know about these secret tests you run, and if they can save people from this epidemic. Speak to me now, Thoreau.
I know I may sound presumptuous, but I'm just following your steps, Dr. Reed.
Нихуя ты.
I'm casting away the shadows of ignorance by daring to face them.
Self-confidence is essential in our line of work, my young colleague, but only if tempered with the correct amount of cynicism.
But you never doubt yourself, Dr. Reed. I've read all your articles and books. You performed the most daring research during the war.
You have my support, Dr. Strickland. I know exactly what it feels like to battle an unknown disease with only your mind and force of will to help you.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. You don't know what that means to me.
Goodbye, Dr.
Так. И чё?
I can't let Strickland put his patients at risk with opium. Perhaps an adjusted formula will deliver more of a placebo effect.
Так, ладно, короче. Сегодня как-то, блядь, игра вообще хуйня полная. Пизды дали, блядь. Да, это пиздец, блядь. Где мой кабинет-то, нахуй? Нету. Значит, там он. Вон он, блядь. Все, давай спать, ну. Сохраняться и выходить. Все. Ой, прокачаться ж можно, нахуй. Че это такое? Сквозь всех врагов. Ну вот, наверное, вот это давай. А хули нет-то? Так, это уже, блядь, 6-го. Наука, чё? У меня патронов нет вообще, блядь. Ну, вот эта хуйня нужна.
If I'm to stay here until my research is complete, I'd better learn to hide my true nature from the mortals. But what about my thirst for blood?
Ладно. Хорош на сегодня. Так, ни о чем. Ни о чем. Просто попиздел со всеми. И то не со всеми. Посмотрим, короче.